be good examples to our children, if you have kids, and show good examples to them. Because kids are very smart. They're the smartest creatures on earth. I mean, you cannot fool them. I know my 6-year-old, our 6-year-old, I think a week ago, we were gathered in the living room with we went to my parents' house, and our in-laws are with us too. So my parents and my in-laws and all our kids were gathered there. And then we asked our 6-year-old, "Bakit Therese, how does Daddy talks?" And then she did an impression of all the members of the family, and she got it to a T. Right? She did an impression, and even if she would say something, you would be able to guess who she's trying to imitate. That's how. And I was shocked. I was like, wow. She's so observant. They observe everything. They know what's happening. They know when you're not telling the truth and when you're telling the truth. So we have to be able to teach them through our actions. One thing that we teach them, of course, we teach them about the gospel, and one thing that I like that my wife started doing probably like a few months ago is, now when we go to church on Sunday, the church from our house to the church is about 10 minutes drive. And now what we started doing is she would take out the phone and then would look at the readings and at least the gospel, read the gospel, and then ask the kids about their take on the gospel. Because, and it not only helps them, it helps us too. It helps us, both me and my wife too, especially me, because by the time they do the gospel and by the time the priest tells the homily, I have a pretty good idea of what is going to be discussed or what the gospel is all about. So it's something that I really enjoy doing now with my kids and my wife. And then third, our family should be the domestic church. Church begins in our family. We have a sacred duty. It's a sacred duty to teach our kids about God, on who God is, and how to love God. And one important thing to mention also is we should be an instrument of bringing them closer to God. And we should not get in the way of God's plan for them. Because I know that there's a priest who told me before that, some of the challenges of the people who wants to become priests or nuns is their parents are preventing them from going to seminary or the place where they study to become a nun, because they want their kids to be like that. And we should not allow that to happen. We should be encouraging to them. We should encourage them all the more to be active in the church. We should encourage them to participate in all the activities in our community, and just be open to whatever God's plan is for us and for them. Those are some of the things that God is expecting of us. Those are some of the things that God wants us to do. God wants us to be life-giving. God wants us to be an evangelizer. And God wants us to be the foundation of His church here on earth. At this point, please allow me to call my wife to give us some practical tips on how to do these things.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Mia Makatula, and I've been assigned to do the practical tips. So make a decision in your family, that you want God's plan to happen. Again, when I give examples about my family, it doesn't mean that we don't have problems or we are the ideal family. We have all of our own problems as husband and wife, as families. But there are some things that I found in our 15 years of marriage and what I've seen from other people's marriage that have proven to be effective and good examples that I wanted to share with you. I guess the first thing that God wants us as husband and wife is that we should treat our spouse as the most important person in the world. Especially when there are kids involved, normally the spouse becomes relegated to the second or third or fourth position. But we have to make our spouse the first priority, having time to listen and talk with each other, laugh together and be silly. And nobody's perfect. I think at this point in our marriage life, we already know what doesn't stick well with us. Like my husband, he snores a lot and during really, really loudly. And in the beginning, I would like, okay, give me just 2 minutes so that I can sleep and then you can sleep. But now, since that doesn't happen anymore, I've learned, and my mom would always say, how do you do it? I don't know, it's just become part of me already. And because I talk in my sleep. So he snores loud and I talk, so we're both a match. Or sometimes he always forgets things. He forgets his watch. He doesn't wear a watch. He forgets his key. He forgets his wallet. He always has to come back. So whenever he would leave the house, and then my mom and I would say, wait for it. And then he would come back and get his stuff. So instead of getting angry about those things that happen over and over again, I think what I'm trying to say is we try to find those quirks that our partner has and actually find them adorable. Find them, part and parcel of this person that you love. The second thing is to bring up our children with a lot of good faith and responsibility. They need to understand that their first priority is God, second is their family, and third is school and being a good child of God. And hopefully in the process, their being natural Christians will allow them to bring other people closer to Christ. Allow me to share a personal experience of my son, my 13-year-old. He has a good friend named Tyler. Tyler has a Buddhist mom and a non-practicing Christian father. And they've been together in public school since they were very young. But this year, Tyler decided to go to Catholic school. So his mom told him to go to Catholic school. And we would encourage get-togethers in our house, and before I realized that when you have teenagers, the most important thing is to have food, lots and lots of food. So they will be happy and they would want to come to your house. And before the meals, when we would do the sign of the cross to bless the food before meals, Tyler would follow and then he would do the football kind of sign of the cross. He would, and it was funny in the beginning, but then he got the spirit of our family. He got the spirit of prayer. He understood that we report to a higher God. And then I had lunch with the mom just very recently, and she said, Tyler just told me the very interesting thing. He told me that in Catholic school, he learned that we, as his parents, are not the ultimate authority, that there's actually somebody else higher than the parents, and then he realized that God is higher authority than his parents. And he asked his mom, will it be okay if one day I can be baptized into the Catholic Church? And his mom said, yes, of course, it's no problem. So I told Gabriel, I said, pray for your friend, just do what you're doing, be a good friend to him. And so I think in our natural way of being Catholics, we don't have to be abnormal, in our ways. We just have to be kind and joyful and giving of who we are. Then people get attracted to that joy and to that love, and they want to learn what you have that they don't. our goal in life is not to make, our goal as parents should not be to make life easy for our kids. Like what my husband said, it's so easy to give them things. What's harder is to say no. So we have to give them responsibilities and tasks that will empower them to be good decision makers one day. Because even now, they make decisions for so many hours without our even knowing it. They're doing things that we don't know about. So we just hope and pray that they are equipped with good decision-making skills that would enable them to be good people. Just yesterday, we were driving with my son, and I asked him, Gabe, how can a teenager in today's world be able to remain pure amidst so much overly sexualized media? And he paused and he said, well, Mom, I think if you surround that person with good people, with good friends, then that person has a chance to remain pure. So I really thank God that that was his answer. I thought that was a smart and a very practical answer, to surround yourself with good friends. Make time for the task of building a strong family. So last week we went to camp, CFC TIES, called TIES, T-I-E-S, that stands for Together in Every Situation. And one of the tasks is to make a banner. So all of us made this banner. So that's our family name. This is our family having dinner together. This basketball because the boys like to play basketball. My daughter likes to read. We like going to the beach. This is supposed to be a phone that my son always has. And we agreed that we all come together to pray the rosary. And we said, okay, what's our mantra? Because we all love to eat. It would be eat, pray, and love. So it was a great time to be together as a family and do things together. Aside from doing this banner, they asked us to talk to each member of the family to ask, what is that activity that you do as a family that makes you closer? And it was so nice to hear the answers of my kids. I realized that they love it when we go to Mass together, when we pray the rosary together, when we go on trips together.